Okay, it's been a second since I made that last video. So we'll continue where I left off. We're going to show a simple example of how to catch like really simply an exception. So I also want to talk about this briefly. Another problem people have, a common problem with their code, is they just get the curly braces off. Remember, here's what you need to remember. All of you guys, I have certain expectations of you if you've been through those first two classes, either Java or C++. You know what a class is. You know how curly braces work. Errors demo, your form that you create, well, not that, that's not the form. Forget namespaces for now. But form errors demo, which is a form, is a class. It works just like classes in C++. Well, not exactly like C++, but more like Java. But the curly braces work the same in all of them. So if you got like overlap, like if you've got like this code, let me show you an example. If you had this code like randomly right here, shoot, I accidentally copied empty space. I swear. Okay, here we go. So if you have like randomly have code there, you're going to have problems. See, it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not inside of a method. Here's a good guide for you. Shouldn't even be going off on this, but fold up your code and see if it looks right. I mean, God, I mean, it's going to look wrong to you at this point. If it doesn't, there's something wrong. You need to like do some remedial work, because I'm not trying to be snarky or what's the word? Sardonic, maybe. I don't know. Not sarcastic. It looks great, doesn't it? Anyway, you should be able to feel that this looks right? These are all methods, whether they're event handlers or not. They're methods. They're methods that are members of this class. Partial class forms error demo. This is a class. Everything should be in the class properly nested with curly braces. And you can tell that more easily, I think, if you collapse code. So if I expand this code, look, curly braces are correct. Header for the method, body of the method begins and ends with this curly brace, and then I have another method which likewise does the same thing, and so on. They'll have different sizes. They'll have different amounts of curly braces blocks inside of them. With this try catch especially makes it look messy a little bit. But you can see, look, method. So be careful where you're topping things. The whole thing about C Visual Studio 2 is all as well, is that it tries to hold your hand. So if you fight against it and put things where they don't belong, you're going to have trouble. You're going to have, what's the South Park ski thing? You're going to have a bad time. So whatever. So continuing on, let me show you what the try catch looks like. Not there. It's in this other event handler. So again, here is the left, upper, and right. I want to point out I used the nullable type here. I didn't really talk about it, but I used it. Here, let me show you why I used it for the answer. Here's why I used it. Because if you don't, if you don't use it or do something else, you're going to have problems here when you assign it to the text property of the result text box. Because I use a bunch of if statements, and again, this is part of the inelegant code I was using. I could make this a lot prettier, but I wanted to make it simple to understand and straightforward. All I'm doing is seeing which operation I do, plus if the addition's checked, minus if the minus checked. I don't have to do if else, by the way, because radio buttons will only have one thing checked. Only one of the radio buttons will be checked. So if one's checked, the other ones are going to be false. You don't have to do if else. If else is basically, only do one among these options. But if the nature of the thing makes sure that there's only one among those options, you don't have to do the else if. You can do it. You can add else's in front of all those ifs and then a final else if you want. It doesn't add any functionality to it. But because all the places that you set a value to the result, look, declare, don't set a value, don't initialize. Here, set a value, but it's if. If none of these are true, now I know one of them will be because of the radio button way it works. But C# doesn't really have that much foresight, so it's like there's a bunch of ifs here, so it's possible this never gets set, and then you try to set a value, toString of nothing basically to this text box. So like I'm going to not let you do that. If you read it, it says use of unassigned local variable result. Because those are ifs, it's possible it never gets assigned a value. That's why you have to give it either an initial value. This is what I normally would have done, something like this maybe, or you could do that, set it to 0. That's maybe a better way. But if you want to get the nullable types are totally new to me, honestly, and I'm trying out using it. So if you do this, you can say what this means is it can be set to either an integer or nothing, kind of like what you have in database stuff. If you guys are familiar with that, null means no value at all, not. It's nothing as opposed to something. So if you put the question mark in front of result, then it's possible that it's not set. It's set to null, which means nothing. So it allows that. And what you should do in that case, technically speaking, is if result does not equal null, then you can do this. You don't want to try to say if it is actually equal to null, and it's not, I know it's not going to be because of the way radio buttons work again, but if it is actually equal to null and you try to do null.toString, null's nothing, so there's no toString in it, it'll crash. So okay, that was 6 minutes. I'm going to stop there. I just wanted to explain my code a little bit more. I've got the try catch in here. I haven't explained it yet, so I'll do that in the next video. But this is like the most simple example for beginning try catches. This is probably not the way you want to do it, but this is the most simple example that actually does a try catch. So I'll talk about that in the next video.